Yo.
Yo, what is up? We're here, chilling, First Choice Fantasy. Ed, Alex, Brandon, here we are. Ed, what you guys say about your day?
I was going to say how you living, how you feel, how you doing, but I'm living and I'm feeling I'm doing all day long. That's what I've been doing. I've been living, feeling, doing. That's my life, you know. What about you, Alex?
I feel like I have inconsistent Wi-Fi.
Yes, and that is why you are audio. You've been
No.
His face been exiled from First Choice Fantasy. Out of there.
First Choice, he is no longer.
You only need two faces for this work.
First Choice, yeah. We need two faces for this company.
Two faces, that's it.
You know what, Ed? You know what they say about you? You're not that bad.
What the fuck's that mean? What?
You know, people talk around the company, and you're not. That bad.
People talk. The company is a big company too. We got people over in Pakistan. We got people.
Well, if Brandon is saying that you're not that bad, then that would imply that I am the one saying that you are in fact that bad.
Oh, you're right.
What I'm saying is you suck, Ed.
Thank you, Alex.
At least according to Brandon. But
well,
I say that's all
that you can say
hearsay.
this while you're hiding behind no camera.
Oh,
I'm only hiding behind no camera because my Wi-Fi doesn't work. If you want me to pull up, Ed, you just send me the address, and I will come down there and kick your ass. We want you to pull up
at McDonald's and take their free Wi-Fi all day long.
I don't think McDonald's Wi-Fi is good enough for me to stream. Like
you got McDonald's, you got Starbucks. You just gotta keep it down
Starbucks.
Because I know
we have no. We have running backs.
We do have running backs.
Stop everything. We've got running backs, and we're cutting it to the intro.
Yeah.
I said, baby, I am not the one to play with. Ain't the type to give up, I'm driven and motivated. I just want some recognition and some compensation. But this ain't about the money and it ain't about the fame. I got lightning in a bottle, I think I just found my perfect sound. Can you see the fire in my eyes? Bitch, it's burning out. Lightning in a bottle, I think I just found my perfect sound. Can you see the fire in my eyes? Bitch, it's burning out.
We're back. We did not address it in the intro, but we are doing AFC conference running backs today, as you can tell by the title, thumbnail, yada, yada, yada. So let's just dive into this head first real quick. Nick Chubb's my number one. Why not Derrick Henry or Clyde Edwards-helaire is my number one? Nick Chubb's a maniac. I have a Chubb for Chubb. I have a Chubb for Chubb.
Nice.
That's what I said.
Nice.
Okay, so you can pull my tweets up from February. I was so excited at March when I was Kevin Stefanski signed with the Browns. I like Kevin Stefanski. Obviously, he loves to run the ball. I love him. We love each other mutually. Nick Chubb's gonna blast off this year. And last year, I didn't know this until I pulled out the numbers, extracted the numbers and whatnot. Nick Chubb was on pace for 1,900 total yards last year before Kareem Hunt, came back in Week 10. That's monstrous. That's monstrous. He was on pace for 1,600 rushing yards. That's monstrous. He has the talent to be up there.
It checks out.
Now, obviously, the offensive line last year is partially questionable offensive line, but they got Jack Conklin. Like I said earlier, he is not a star tackle, but he's a tackle. And they got, was it Jedrick Wills they drafted? Yeah, or was it Tristan Wirfs?
I believe.
Yeah, one of the two.
Wirfs went to.
So,
where the fuck did he go?
He went to Giants, didn't he? Wirfs?
No, the Giants got Thomas.
No, they got into Thomas.
Yeah.
Regardless, they got two new tackles, okay? That helps Nick Chubb use his athleticism and get to that outside, blast open a hole. Nick Chubb's going to blast off. Like I said, Nick Chubb's blasting off all over the place, okay? So Nick Chubb's going to go crazy this year. I think I said it on Twitter. I look at betting lines and whatnot. I think he was he's the fourth favorite for leading the league in rushing yards. I'm taking that all day long. It was plus 200. So if I were you, I'm not no betting man. You guys may not be betting mans, but if you want to bet, I'm betting. Nick Chubb leads the league in rushing this year. And I could definitely see that happening with the new scheme. With defenses he faces aren't great. They aren't terrible. I mean, the in-division teams like the Steelers and the Ravens have stout defensive lines. But, I think he can manage, and I think he definitely will finish as the leading rusher this year. I also don't think Kareem Hunt's going to take too much of a workload from him because you guys heard him talk about him working out with receivers and whatnot. I think that's going to help create Chubb's, I guess you could say, it's going to create a question mark for Chubb as far as quality of carries and carry amounts and whatnot, and people are probably be scared because Kareem Hunt's there. He got the rushing title his rookie year in the NFL. He was crazy. But I think Hunt's going to be more of a satellite back than anything. And I think Chubb is just going to eat the ground up. He's going to eat it. He's going to be Derrick Henry this year.
Oh, no. He's eating the turf and even the real field. Oh, wow.
Yeah, whole field.
Well, you said about Nick Chubb was on pace for whatever amount of yards until Kareem Hunt came back.
Yeah.
Does that explain why Kareem Hunt is not on the list?
On my list?
Yeah.
Didn't notice that. Kareem Hunt's getting inserted right now as we speak.
Let's insert him on the list. And Alex does have Kareem Hunt 15th. I've got Kareem Hunt at 14th.
Yeah, Kareem Hunt being on this list is why I can't put Chubb at 1. I don't think Kareem Hunt just disappeared.
That's how I feel. I respect I hope he does because he's got the talent, but I'm skeptical of his usage, and that's why he's at 2. I still think his usage will carry him, obviously, but
Kareem Hunt's or Nick Chubb's?
Chubb's.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's limited. In certain game scripts, he will be replaced. And same with Derrick Henry, but I feel as if Derrick Henry –
well, their offense is based around him, which is why I still feel good about Henry. All of their offensive principles are based around Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry. He is practically their quarterback.
He's practically a tank.
Their play-action passing game is totally predicated on his ability to run the ball, which is why I still have him at 1.
That's why I said I don't believe the entire Tennessee Titans offense this year is going to be that great, and that's why I have Derrick Henry at 3. I think the Browns offense is going to be unbelievable this year. That's going to be a rough wild card finish between the Steelers and the Browns, I believe. And I just think that offense is going to look beautiful in my eyes. And I think Nick Chubb's going to lead the way with the most rushing yards in the NFL. Bold prediction. Sign me up, Nick Chubb in the second round. I did say, let me address that actually real quick. In the previous video, the ADP dislikes, I had Nick Chubb as a dislike in the first round.
Yep.
I did say that, yeah.
I believe you did.
I should have addressed this entire thing by saying I am very, as you guys know, I change my opinions on players a lot. You can go back to March. I loved Nick Chubb. That was my guy. I'm taking him everywhere. Then I go into May and April-ish, and when Kareem Hunt re-signed, I was like, oh, it's going to be so scary. He's not going to get any work. They're going to go 50-50 split, and no, it's not going to happen. I think Nick Chubb's the guy there. So that's my guy moving forward. I don't know about first round, though. Second round, late first round.
You're not going to get him in the second round.
Yeah.
Falling into the second round?
It depends
11th
on team
pick.
league. If I'm doing a 10-team league, I'm definitely taking him in the second round, yeah. But if he's like 11th pick,
see, if he leads the league in rushing, that is worth a first-round pick.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
But the value.
Those guys generally finish as like the top 5.
That's more like
I think the opinion of mine has changed since we did the ADP values because Mr. Chubb was going in front of Mixon and Jacobs, and I still have him ranked in front of Mixon and Jacobs, so I don't know why I disliked him at 108. It's just, I don't know. I feel like it's a high – I can't really decide in my mind, but I think I like Nick Chubb. I think that's the only explanation I really got for that. Besides the last video, I didn't like him. You know, I'm bipolar with my picks, but it is what it is.
It's understandable.
And you know who else is bipolar?
I am, because I just moved Clyde Edwards-helaire from 5 to 3.
Understandable.
Because I backed out of my decision. I felt insecure about putting Clyde up at the top. I know Damian Williams is opting out of 2020 season, so this leads a clear way for Clyde. However, I have skepticism of rookies coming in, and I really shouldn't.
You shouldn't be skeptical of rookie running backs.
Exactly, and that play on the Chiefs. And my point is that I was feeling as if the Chiefs are so successful, and I didn't really recognize the fact that because they're going to be able to run out the clock, and that's when Clyde Edwards-helaire can take over games. And they don't even need to be out to a huge lead. I think Edwards-helaire will still be involved. And those insecurities kind of left me after I thought about it in a different view. So he lands at 3. But you guys have both one of the number ones at 3. So Derrick Henry for Ed at 3, and then Nick Chubb at 3 for Alex. So what's up with that?
I don't think there's a whole lot separating those 3 guys.
Yeah, there's definitely not a whole lot separating those 3 guys. But from the 4th guy, I think it's a big drop.
I honestly don't really think it matters too much about the discrepancies between 1 and 3.
Yeah.
I agree. Now, discrepancies between 4, 5, and 6. We all have another 3 group of people with Joe Mixon, Josh Jacobs, and Eckler, in which we all have different rankings. Besides, you guys have Josh Jacobs at 5, and I have Joe Mixon at 5.
Yeah.
I have Josh Jacobs at 4 solely due to the fact that, we heard Mike Mayock say that they're going to ramp up the receiving efforts or whatever it is, and using more in the passing game. And you kind of have to take that. You have to take that as proof of them deciding they want to use it more.
I'll believe it when I see it.
That's the thing, though. With fantasy football, you can't. If you're behind the 8 ball, you're behind the 8 ball. You're never going to win.
No, but it's not like every single time a coach says, "Oh, we're going to do this," it happens.
Yeah,
you're not wrong.
I'm taking it with a grain of salt. I don't. If they wanted to use Josh Jacobs as a passing back, then why'd you draft a passing back in the 3rd round?
Lynn Bowden?
Yeah.
I think he succeeded more as a rusher, but I get what you're saying.
They specifically came out and said that they see him as like that type of guy.
So will always be
understandable. And they also brought back Jalen Richard.
Running back world.
Yeah, there will always be. But I just like Josh Jacobs' talent, and I think he missed a few games last year with his shoulder injury and whatnot. But if he gets just a little bump in receiving, I think he's going to be up there with the alphas of the league. And he's just the offensive line that he has over there. They stayed consistent, same chemistry, same group that they brought back this year. And I just see them keeping that continuity up and keeping Josh Jacobs as a top 10 running back in the league.
I like Jacobs. I just feel like Austin Eckler is just always underrated now.
I think he has to be underrated. I mean, you kind of have to think about –
Does he?
I think he does, yeah. I mean, you don't have Phillip Rivers there. I'm not saying Phillip Rivers is a god, but Phillip Rivers kind of made him sustain that efficiency, I guess you could say, or just overall workload. I don't think Tyrod Taylor's going to do that. I just can't see that happening. Let me check LaShawn McCoy's numbers in Buffalo with Tyrod Taylor compared to typical seasons, okay? So when was Tyrod Taylor in Buffalo? Tyrod Taylor was in Buffalo in
I don't think McCoy is as good as Eckler is right now.
No, but I'm just saying as far as typical target share. So 50, 58, and 77 targets with LaShawn McCoy with Tyrod Taylor. Now, obviously, like you said, they're different players. LaShawn McCoy's not a receiving back like Austin Eckler is, obviously. Now, 50, 58, and 77. 77 is a lot, I'll give you that. But when LaShawn McCoy was in Philly, he was averaging nearly 70 a year. And he had a year where he had 90 targets. So, I mean, the possibilities of Austin Eckler keeping that same, 100 targets last year, I don't think he's going to keep up 100. I mean,
I'm just talking Eckler as a player. There are way too many variables to start comparing Tyrod Taylor and LaShawn McCoy to this year. We don't even know how long Taylor is going to be the starter. It's a different.
And what do we know about Justin Herbert?
I think he's.
So I don't see him
check down a running back. I'm just betting on talent. I think Eckler's pretty good.
I think he's good as well.
He gets the respect he deserves.
I feel like you can't go with just talent and just say he's going to do good because he's good. I feel like that's kind of a cop-out.
You can at running back.
I don't think you can.
That's why I have Jonathan Taylor at 7, because I think he's better than any other guy in that building, and he's going to prove that.
Because you do that with everybody. You say, oh, he's Jerry Jeudy, he's talented, so he's going to be good this year. But you don't really take all the context into it. You just, say the player's good, so they're going to be good. I don't really like that. I'm not a fan.
I won our league last year, so obviously I was doing something right.
Trades.
That's the only thing you can
say
you're
doing, right?
You're damn right I did. I traded for the right guys. What do you want from me?
No,
I was just saying. That was
kind
the
of
right. You
kind of finagled your way to a championship.
I absolutely did finagle my way to the roster I have now.
That's not always bad.
And it is a dynasty league, so let's not talk about that when it is a redraft video. So wake your shoulders off, get that chip off your shoulder, big boy, and let's talk some redraft, okay? So Austin Eckler should not be above Josh Jacobs. He shouldn't be. He just shouldn't be. That's all I got to say.
Yourself.
Would you take Austin Eckler in the late first round?
I wouldn't draft either of them there.
So where's Austin Eckler going then?
Second round.
Like, okay, never mind then.
I'm probably not drafting Eckler or Jacobs.
Around the same time.
You're not drafting Eckler or Jacobs. I understand that.
It's not that I don't like them. It's just that, like, on all of the mocks and actual drafts I've done so far, I've never been in a position where I'm like, those are the best players on my board. I did have Mixon above them in previous weeks, but I moved Mixon to 6 because of what I talked about in the past video about the Bengals just scare me now.
See, that's the thing, though. That's what I'm saying. This is what I got to say, Alex. You said about the offense is going to be good because Joe Burrow is amazing and this player is amazing and that player is amazing. A while ago,
and I said, okay, Ed, that was back when I wasn't counting on the entire offseason being fucking ruined. That was back when I was expecting preseason games and training camp. You don't have that anymore.
So what did I say that had nothing to – I don't know. I don't know why you can't see the fact that Tyrod Taylor does not target the running back as much as you would expect him to or as much as Phillip Rivers did last year. And then Justin Herbert won't have time to get acclimated to the offense, and he's going to struggle as well. That's just what I had to say about Austin Eckler, but you weren't really seeing that.
You just said that McCoy got 70-some targets with Taylor.
He did, his final year. He was getting 50 targets the first 2 years of Taylor. I don't think that qualifies, especially when he was averaging 70
players.
Plus.
I don't understand how you can tell me that number is relevant.
Tendencies, Alex. What Tyrod Taylor's tendencies are.
Tendency what? We don't know what the play calls were like there. Eckler clearly had more plays drawn up for him last year than your typical running back.
I'm sure if you check the check downs for Tyrod Taylor, it's not as much as Phillip Rivers. That's what I'm saying. Austin Eckler's not going to get as many
but I still am a fan of Eckler, and Melvin Gordon's gone now, so that's more
no
opportunity.
Reason to not be a fan of Eckler, but I'm just proving a point. It's what my reasoning is behind Austin Eckler being at 6 and not being above Josh Jacobs because he's not going to get the crazy amount of targets that he had last year. And sure, he's going to get a couple more carries.
He'll get just enough work. He's still very talented. That's nothing against Jacobs. Like I was just saying earlier, I will believe that he will be a component of the passing offense when I see it.
That's valid. I just good is good, I guess, in the world today. So I guess we can talk to Mr. Brandon about his rankings of Joe Mixon above Josh Jacobs and Austin Eckler.
Joe Mixon, Alex's disbelief that Joe Burrow can make it good in the NFL without preseason and offseason and whatever else he needs. I feel as if Joe Burrow is a quarterback. He's been trained for this. So.
Yeah, but tell me how many times in NFL history a guy has ever gone directly from college to no training camp, no preseason, started in the NFL, and was a huge success.
That's why Brandon Allen is succeeding.
Who do you got to rely on? Running backs, tight end.
Your offensive line is a tire fire.
Receiver, possibly.
Which is why I have Tyler Boyd high. I like Burrow. I think he'll do okay. I just think he's going to struggle at first, and I think Mixon will struggle as a result.
I agree. I think Joe
offensive
Mixon's
line
getting
is
overhyped a little bit.
Absolutely shit.
It is shit, yeah.
Well, I'll say between Joe Mixon and Josh Jacobs, Joe Mixon has the ability to catch, and he's been used in that game. And guess what? Josh Jacobs, y'all are sitting on a wish, a hope. He hasn't been getting that look. So what's
Who is y'all? Who is y'all? Do you mean
at least Ed? I'm speaking to Ed.
The public and myself.
Because I was saying me and Ed just had an argument where I said I don't believe in that right now.
So that's my standpoint on Joe Mixon above Josh Jacobs. And I appreciate Josh Jacobs' talent, and I hope he gets receiving work because if he does, hell yeah, I could see Josh Jacobs rise. But
I thought about
Mixon. Going off of a hope. And
These
fantasy football is that.
three to me
it's understandable.
were about as tight as the first three were.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not over here sitting here saying Eckler's going to score 8 more points per game than Jacobs and Mixon. I think whoever wins that battle could be decided by like a percentage of a point.
Yeah.
I think Jacobs is a step up from Mixon and Eckler, and I think Eckler and Mixon are interchangeable in my eyes. But
yeah,
it is
I
what it
feel
is.
about the three.
Now, the next tier of players that I have, but you guys don't have, I like Melvin Gordon this year. Obviously, he hasn't been the most efficient, as Alex will tell you in a few minutes.
I don't even have to because you just covered it for me.
I thought you were going to bring big facts, but Alex isn't a big fat kind of guy. So we got Melvin Gordon at 7 for me, Jonathan Taylor at 7 for Alex, and Leonard Fournette at 7 for Brandon. The reason why I have Melvin Gordon at 7, I think that the touch that he's going to get compared to Phillip Lindsay in that offense is going to be much more valuable. I think they're going to be, I don't know about a great offense. I'm kind of still questionable about that offense, but I think the run blocking unit up there is going to be better than what he had last year with the Chargers. I just think his usage is going to be up there. Why else would they sign him? I don't know. I'm buying all into Melvin Gordon this year as a, third, fourth round pick, something like that. Pretty decent value as an RB2. I'll take that all day. And that's what I got for Melvin Gordon. Let's hear about JT, Mr. Alex.
I think I already talked about him. He's very good.
He's good.
Had he played his 4th year in college, he would have broke the NCAA rushing record. Now you put him on a team with a fantastic offensive line that's going to have to run the ball if they want to have any success with Phillip freaking Rivers. And I don't really think – I think he's coming for Marlon Mack's job pretty quickly. He's not a quarterback, so I don't care that there's no training camp.
That's fair. You're not wrong. Those are big facts in my eyes. So let's hear Leonard Fournette explanation from Brandon.
Fournette, there's not much of an explanation here. He's been used heavily in offense, and I feel confident in starting him. That's about it. What I have to say about Leonard Fournette.
If he's going to walk, they have a lot of incentive to just run him into the ground.
Yeah. I have him at 8 just because, I get what you guys are saying with, the opportunities. Definitely going to have volume and whatnot, but it's just they wanted to trade him.
He's also Leonard Fournette.
Yeah.
And he's also Leonard Fournette, and what he did last year was also not great. The year before that was also not great.
It's kind of like Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
Le'Veon Bell, I'm saying clear that man this year. I'll tell you that much. Would you like to dive into Le'Veon Bell? You guys want to talk David Johnson first? I'm all in on David Johnson.
David Johnson, you're all in? I mean, we all have him at 9 across the board.
Yeah, we do indeed.
Just what is in front and behind David Johnson that's pretty not similar.
A lot of these mid-tier running backs to me, I just don't like.
I think these are kind of not necessarily sleepers, but if you want to take Brandon's approach and take Tyreek Hill in that first round, I think you'll have to settle for some of these running backs.
I just feel like you'd be a lot better off taking one of those top running backs high and then snagging yourself a stud receiver than counting on Fournette or Johnson or Le'Veon Bell to sustain your offense.
I agree, but a lot of people have different strategies. They don't really like our strategies. So
I will happily be kicking their asses by week 5.
Hey, man, talk that talk. So let's talk about Le'Veon Bell, speaking of talk.
It's not.
Yeah.
I want to talk about him just because I think last year was it. That's going to lead to his downfall. I mean, he was a downfall last year, and that's the –
I think leading to his downfall was him sitting out that whole season.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. But
and going to a team with 0 offensive line.
He looked a lot less explosive last year and
terrible. Yeah.
They don't really have a lot else there.
Nope.
I think he's still a solid running back, but I don't really think he's going to be I think his days of big gains are gone.
Very gone. And I think them bringing Frank Gore, obviously it's not a big thing, but they made it into a big thing.
They're really committing to this whole 4 yards a carry thing.
Yeah. I just don't think they want him there. I don't think he's going to do much in fantasy. And it's just the bad O-line. You have Adam Gase. You have a bad defense, so you're probably passing a lot. I mean, it's just a recipe for not greatness for Le'Veon Bell this year. And so I'm staying away from him. And I think if you have him in the dynasty, get rid of him now.
Good on him for getting that big contract. But I think even the Jets realized that was an overpay.
Yeah. Even Adam Gase realized that was an overpay.
What the hell were you thinking?
Yeah.
I guess we can dive into somebody like a James Conner here, shall we?
Did you want to talk about David Johnson? We kind of just skipped over him.
That's true, yeah. I mean...
Yeah, drop knowledge.
I see we all have him at 9, and yet we feel different ways about him.
That's true. I don't know. I like David Johnson this year.
I respect the opportunity that he might get.
Yeah, it's fair. But we have to just remind yourself that last year, the first couple of weeks, David Johnson had he was like, I think he was a top 10 running back last year in the first 5 weeks. When he was getting the opportunities, he was doing stuff with it. And sure, like, he wasn't the most efficient yards per carry or yards per reception or anything like that, but he was getting fantasy points from it. So whatever you can do to get fantasy points from your touches, he was doing it. And obviously looked hobbled after he had a high ankle sprain. Saquon Barkley looked hobbled after he had a high ankle sprain. But Saquon Barkley became a superhero because Saquon Barkley is a superhero, and he became healthy in about 5 weeks. David Johnson couldn't do that because when he did come back, he obviously looked hobbled. He had 1 carry that one game, and he looked like an old man. Wasn't good, but I think a high ankle sprain is not going to end your career, and I don't think you should write him off due to the high ankle sprain and the lack of, I guess, recovery time that he had last year when he got thrown back in for that ugly carry.
I respect that. I respect that take.
Also have to
It's
say,
a decent gamble, but I'd rather take my running backs high.
That's fair. But if you're so stubborn, he's never willing to give it up.
The response is the same.
I don't think it's stubborn. I think I'm sticking to my guns. I think that's the way to go this year.
But your way to go every year is stick to your guns.
What? What'd you say?
I said your strategy every year is stick to your guns. Am I wrong?
Well, obviously it works.
Okay. I mean, sometimes it doesn't. You're not 100% correct all the time.
Well, for what they are.
I mean, I want to do running back robust in every redraft, but sometimes you have to stick to your guns. Sometimes you don't have to stick to your guns, and sometimes you just have to go wide receivers. I mean, I was fine with taking David Johnson in the middle of the 5th round, 4th round. Like, that's fine by me. RB2, possibly an RB3 if I go, like, heavy running back. Oh, that's a flex beautiful David Johnson right there. Oh, flexy.
Beautiful.
Flex David. Flexible David. Did you want to touch on him at all?
Not really.
No.
Well, for what these backs are, like, in the rounds they're getting drafted in, for what they are, some have actual value. And, like, you want to do your route of drafting running back, whatever, so on and so forth. These backs are there in the 5th, 6th round. So they could fall, possibly. So you're looking at drafting how many wide receivers before having to face that decision. And I don't feel comfortable with 2 running backs. I mean, although I'm taking Derrick Henry and Chubb at the top, and then on the swing I'm going to take 2 wide receivers. And then what, am I going to take 2 more wide receivers? I may consider taking a player like David Johnson or James Conner. And James Conner, I know y'all don't –
I'm not touching James Conner in rounds 4 through 6.
I like to touch him.
And I understand –
not even considering.
I understand that, but these are rankings, and I know I just touched base on drafts and that type of scenario, but this is ranking, end of season. What do I think he'll end up in the AFC? And James Conner, I think the Steelers have said they're dedicated to 1 back. That's what they do. When James Conner gets hurt, they dedicate, for the most part, their carries to 1 back. And they're a run-heavy team at times when Ben Roethlisberger isn't there. So, but Mike Tomlin came out and said James Conner is the guy, he's the back. And if he the only thing that plagues him is injuries. So if he can stay healthy, this offense is his. These touches are his. And Alex, I know just last week you said injuries, you have to take them lighter this year. And with COVID going around, you take injuries lighter. I mean, Conner could end up, like players can be out.
Depends on the guy, because
like
now I have Conner at risk of contracting COVID, as everyone is. Now, wasn't he a cancer survivor?
Yeah, he's a cancer survivor. He is playing. He said he wants to play because he wants to get a second contract. Which,
fair.
I mean, is very risky, but very, I guess, understandable, respectable, I guess you could say. But I agree with the James Conner. If he gets the touches, he's going to do good because, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, whoever the running back is in that offense, I think is going to be a decent running back. Like, I think they're going to be a viable running back. But as far as an injury question mark with him, like, it's a huge question mark. Like, it's a 6 foot by 6 foot question mark just standing right next to me. It is. But the dominant, I mean, the one thing that I did see about James Conner in the past 2 years that made me perk up a little bit, one thing that it's obvious it correlates with fantasy points, it's dominator rating. So that's like total percentage of your team's yards and touchdowns scored. Like what you have, like that's what it's basically just how much of the offense.
He dominated that because their running backs have sucked since Bell.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's teams, total touchdowns and total yards, not just running backs.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, if
the entire
running backs taking those stats, that's helpful.
No, it's not just rushing yards. It's the entire.
I get what you're saying. I'm just saying there are no other competent running backs, so there's less people available to take those numbers. Like you're limiting it to just receivers and tight ends, or quarterbacks if that's factored in. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not like they had some credible – you just said that you like any running back in that offense. I heavily disagree because Benny Snell, Jalen Samuels, these guys suck.
You're right.
These guys are garbage.
They do suck. I mean, yeah, I agree. But
no offense, guys, but you're not good.
James Conner is also not great, but he's better than Benny Snell and Jalen Samuels, I guess. I was wrong in that statement. But his dominator rating was number 5 of all players last year. That's direct correlate. And he only played 10 games. Think about that. That's insane. Then the previous year, it was 11th in the NFL, and he only played 13 games. So, I mean, even though he does get injured and whatnot, and sometimes his performances are shaky, and there's a big question mark with the dude, I understand where you're coming from.
Melvin Gordon's consistency is shaky.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's very
You got
shaky.
Le'Veon Bell. He's consistent, but no boom games. Yeah. I'm looking at James Conner in this tier. Jonathan Taylor I like his upside, but it's upside. It's not guaranteed. There's Marlon Mack. There's Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers, who likes targeting running backs, as we just discussed why Austin Eckler was so great last year was because of Phillip Rivers. Well, Phillip Rivers, I mean, who knows? I mean, Jonathan Taylor could become their receiving back, possibly.
I think there's untapped upside there.
Yeah, and I believe in it. But I'm saying that upside isn't enough for me to slide him above players like Le'Veon Bell, Melvin Gordon, James Conner.
Jonathan, I disagree there just because I would bank on the upside of Jonathan Taylor because even then his floor is still, I think, better than Le'Veon Bell's. Like, if we're just taking both players to the floor, I would definitely take Jonathan Taylor over Le'Veon Bell. And obviously, Le'Veon Bell is probably going to be at his floor this year. That's more realistic than Jonathan Taylor's floor, per se. So I would definitely take the swing on Jonathan Taylor's upside compared to Bell's inevitable floor. I would definitely rather the upside with Taylor. And I think that we should be able to see his receiving prowess work out this year. I'm confident in the dude.
I hope so.
I don't think it's going to be like the first 4 weeks. It might be a little while. But, I mean, by the time – I think he would have, I guess you could say, the workhorse role probably by week 6 soaked up. And that's 10 games of Jonathan Taylor you're going to get for like a 5th-round pick. It's kind of scary to me. I'd rather have David Johnson or one of those players that you could probably believe they would play a full 16 games rather than swinging on Jonathan Taylor. But, I mean, it is what it is. I still like Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
All right. Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
Anybody? Yeah, we already talked about Nick Chubb. I don't know why I brought that up, but I don't really got anything
He
to
gets
say
some
about
work, but not enough. He's decent.
Yeah. Now, one player that I'm surprised that Alex, you have ranked so high, and Brandon, you do not have ranked at all, is Devin Singletary. Yeah. I have him at 15.
Honestly, man,
I
just feel like every running back after like the top 6 here is just a fucking toss-up.
That's fair.
I don't know if Singletary will ever get enough work for it to matter, but he was very efficient in the touches that he did get. So, whatever, 10. Sure, I don't care.
Yeah.
I feel like we're splitting hairs with a lot of these guys. It's just going to come down to situations.
I'm not a fan of Devin Singletary, and I like Zach Moss more than Devin Singletary, but I'm not going to put that pressure on Zach Moss.
I think there is a good chance that Zach Moss takes his job, but
great chance.
We've seen them use 2 running backs, so I would imagine Singletary will keep getting work.
Yeah. Inevitably. But,
I don't know where he's getting drafted, but I wouldn't draft him. He's just ranked because, I'm ranking running backs.
Devin Singletary is getting drafted somewhere in the 3rd round.
Whoa!
In the end of the 3rd round. That's
okay.
Don't draft him.
That's too high for me.
Running back 21. I still am saying 21 running backs from the first 2 rounds, but it's understandable because you should be going running back, wide receiver. But do you guys want to touch on J.K. Dobbins or anything like that? I think you are drugs for not having Ingram on the list.
Yeah. What the hell? He's
a declining veteran, and he's gotten hurt consistently. I think Dobbins is going to take his job.
I don't know what he's declined from, but sure, yeah. What did he get hurt last year?
Spotty as hell last year.
Let me pull up
That was just the offense. It's kind of like having Raheem Mostert, but on drugs.
Yeah. On drugs, yeah.
I mean, that's what it is.
He's in his 30s.
Okay.
Well, why'd you say
Frank Gore was producing till however long ago?
I don't know about that whole injury thing, though. Didn't you say he was injured often?
I didn't say he was injured. Didn't he have an injury scare last year? Or am I thinking of somebody else?
I mean, he did. He strained his calf week 16. But since then, he hasn't been injured since 2017.
That's not
he got suspended 2018. He hasn't had a serious injury besides concussion, which was in 2016, since he tore his rotator.
I don't know. I think he's trending towards a decrease in snaps, honestly.
I can see it, but I don't know why you would have J.K. Dobbins above him. I
think J.K. Dobbins is going to be a more talented player. I think J.K. Dobbins is a very talented running back.
I get what you're saying. I just
I'll add him in place of Phillip Lindsay.
You don't have to do that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, why?
Because I was debating between Ingram and Lindsay for that last spot.
That's crazy.
It's reasonable.
I put Ingram in.
It's reasonable after Kareem Hunt. I guess I could kind of understand.
I don't see why they would take a 2nd-round pick at running back and then just not play the guy.
The way I try and think about it is, you're looking at the draft. You're in the 12th round. You're looking at value, and you look at Mark Ingram, Phillip Lindsay. You're really telling me you choose Phillip Lindsay?
I might.
That's crazy to me.
I don't think it is. They're both part-time players.
They are, but who's going to get the more valuable touch on
Ingram is in a more talented offense, a more productive rushing offense.
And they just drafted his direct
Phillip Lindsay just got replaced practically. I mean, he'll be involved. I don't.
All right, but I believe in J.K. Dobbins. I do not believe in Melvin Gordon. I
have two words for you.
I don't know if Mark Ingram cares if you believe in him.
Big trust.
It's not up to him.
Big trust.
That's all I got to say.
It ain't up to Ingram whether he's on the field or not.
Oh, he's going to be on the field. He's going to be shredding.
He's going to be out there.
He's going to be shredding.
I think it does depend on him. I think the Ravens are willing to toss J.K. Dobbins in week 12, maybe not week 6. At that point,
I agree.
Dobbins is going to outproduce Ingram in 4 weeks than Ingram did in 12. I mean, sure, J.K. Dobbins is talented, but I wouldn't take 4 weeks of Dobbins of Ingram.
Yeah, J.K. Dobbins will replace him, but, I mean, as a rookie this year, it's skeptical. And Devin Singletary, I mean, the player that goes right after him, average draft position, is David Johnson. So would you rather have Devin Singletary 1 pick ahead of David Johnson?
I'd rather take either.
I personally wouldn't. Alex would not take a late-round running back, no matter
what. What are you thinking? What do you think with the mid-round running back?
Even if the first 2 rounds of his draft are auto-picked because his Wi-Fi went out and he couldn't do the draft, he'd still pick.
I would take JT over either of those 2 guys.
Never.
All right. Well, you heard it here first. JT over David Johnson and Devin Singletary in redraft. Alex decided on it, and it is decided. It's decided. It's decisions. So
It's decided for me. I mean, I would prefer you guys not follow my advice.
I don't. I won't. I won't.
That's good.
That's fair. All right. So, boys and girls and ladies and gentlemen,
Everybody?
comments? Anybody?
Comments?
These running backs are just so, like, to me.
Yeah.
I agree.
It's just a lot of, like, middle-aged guys who I don't care about.
But it's still a pretty polarizing conversation on Twitter. I see regularly people talk about Fournette and how he's going to be a great
because, like I said, between, like, 7 and 16 here, there's just, like, so little separating these guys, I think. Like, any random bullshit could happen that could catapult, like, Kareem Hunt or James Conner into the top 5.
Maybe James Conner.
Maybe Chubb goes down and they give Hunt a ton of work.
That's true.
Maybe they just decide that Dobbins sucks and that they're going to stop rotating running backs and Mark Ingram just gets all the carries. Maybe Le'Veon Bell has some magical resurgence where he realizes that he can outrun linebackers.
Yeah.
Maybe Josh Jacobs gets hurt and, Len Bowden becomes a unicorn. Nobody knows.
That would be interesting. Like maybe Melvin Gordon decides that he's the guy that he was in like his 3rd NFL season and that he's not the guy that he was in every other season and like plays really good. Maybe Phillip Lindsay just detonates. I don't know. Too many fucking question marks.
That is life. Let's be real.
Just give me the top 3 guys. Let me draft my receivers and go home.
It's going home after the receivers.
Yeah.
No quarterbacks, no tight ends. No defenses. Nope. Maybe a kicker.
Cut those defenses out here.
Fuck them.
Speaking of cutting, let's just tell the audience. Let's cut this video in a few seconds after we tell the audience to like this. Go like this. Just click it.
Like it.
Like and then
just
comment.
Pull your thumb off.
Who your favorite running back? Practically, I kind of booped it. Boop. And just
exploded.
Yeah, it's like the little blue thing. It explodes in blue ink on YouTube.
Okay.
Maybe they'll realize it once they click on the like button. But comment who your favorite running back is in the AFC conference and subscribe and share the video. Without further ado, we're out of here.
We're leaving.